So how do you find the point on a segment that partitions the segment by a given ratio? We're going to be using a concept of the directed line segment. It means that the segment has direction associated with it, usually specified by moving from one endpoint to another. The midpoint, please help me out here. The midpoint of the segment divides the segment in or half. Makes sense, right? Halfway between 2 points is called the middle point, midpoint. All right, good deal. All right, but sometimes we don't just want the midpoint. Sometimes we want something a little bit different, okay? Here's how we figure that out. We've got a formula. Hopefully you got your formula sheets handy, formula little things handy. If not, they're everywhere around this room. Make sure you find one, okay? All right. This says, given that A is at 3/4 and B is at 7/12, find point P on AB such that it is partitioned in a ratio of 1:3. All right? So, really weird question, correct? Why we're doing this question, because it's actually really easy, but you're going to have to practice it several times today. And then, guys, once you do it several times, you're going to be A-okay. All right? I want to graph. First thing I'll do is graph points A and B. A, 1, 2, 3 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4 up. It's at 3/4. B is at 7, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to the right, 12 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Whew. That's B. Then let's go ahead. If you got a straight edge, you can use your side of a piece of paper. You can create your particular points. Okay? All right. That should be more like a little bit more direct. You'll see it though. All right. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to graph. You want to graph. Okay? After you graph, this is the part that's weird. Okay? After you graph, you take your ratio and you convert it into a fraction. Okay? Just so y'all know, this ratio is written 1 to 3. When I say the word 2, y'all understand what the colon means, right? I'm not saying the number 2, TWO. I'm saying the word PO, okay? 1, 2, 3, okay? 1 to 3 ratio, right? This is written as A to B. So that should help you out down here, okay? So looking at that, convert it to a fraction. A is what? 1. B is 3. So now let's look at the fraction it's got. The fraction it has is A over A plus B. 1 over 1 plus 3, correct? So 1 over 4, all right? 1 over 4. The ratio 1 to 3 converts to the fraction 1 over 4, 1/4. Everybody with me on there? Okay. This means that point P is 1/4. It's 1/4 of the distance from A to B. Right, clear on that one? Any questions on how I got that fraction? I'll go over it a couple more times today, so if you didn't get it first time, no problem. Right. Then it says use the formula to find the x coordinate point of P. So the x coordinate point of P, it's going to be taking the x coordinates of A and B and using them in my formula. Okay? So x coordinate point of A we're going to call x1. What is the x coordinate of A? 3. What is the x coordinate of B? 7. Okay? Now we're going to use this formula, x1 plus A over A plus B, parentheses x2 minus x1, we're going to use that formula to get my answer for the coordinates of P. Okay? And all you got to do is fill it in. What was x1? 3. What was the fraction? 1/4. Okay, this fraction was 1/4. What was x2? 7 minus, what was x1?
3.
Now get your calculator out. Get out your calculators and type in with me. 3 plus, hit the fraction button, 1/4, parentheses, 7 minus 3, close your parentheses. What do you get? You get 4, okay? So the x coordinate of P is 4, right? And then we use the same formula with the y's, okay? So what is the y coordinate of point A? Is what? 4, 4, and 12, okay? Because the y coordinate of point B is 12. So I get y1, 4, plus my fraction, 1/4, y2, 12, minus 4. I'll put that into my calculator. What do I do? What do I get when I get that? 6. So the y coordinate of point P is 6. So put it together, guys. The coordinates of P are what? 4, 6. Point P is how much of the distance from point A to B? 1/4 of the distance from A to B. Okay? Let's go back up here and plot 4, 6. Should be, if I had a great graph, it would help. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, board's a little off, but that is point P. And point P is 1/4 of the total distance from A to B. Okay? All right. Any questions so far? We're going to do a couple of these together. Okay? So that's just the first one. We'll do a couple of them together. Look at your formula sheets for me. Look on the left-hand side, the third formula down, right underneath the OR. Okay? You see how it says partitioning a line segment, blah, blah, blah? All right, so your formula that you should be looking at says xy equals x1 plus a over a plus b, parentheses, x2 minus x1, semicolon, y1 plus a over a plus b, parentheses, y2 minus y1. Right? You got that? All we did, guys, we split that formula. So what we just did was find the x's first, and then we found the y's. Okay? Everybody with me on that? If you want to, you can do the whole formula at once, but it's really long to type into a calculator. I really suggest breaking it up into 2 different ones. All right? Everybody with me? All right. Let's do number 2 at the bottom of the page. Okay? First thing I want to do is go over steps. Graph, right? Start off by graphing. Graph A and B. Okay? A is at 1, 1. That's easy. B is at 7, 4. So go all the way out there and put AB. There we go. AB on your graph. Okay? Bottom of the page. Oh, it's on the, I'm sorry. It's at the top of the next page. Yeah. It's at the top of the next page. All right. I've graphed my points. Now I want to convert from a ratio to a fraction. So we're going to go ratio to fraction. Okay? It tells me my ratio. It says The ratio is 1 to 2. What is A here? What is B? B is 2, okay? So, if I go from using this, A to B, 1 to 2, it should be A over A plus B, correct? Well, remember, that's going to be 1 over 1 plus 2. What is 1 plus 2? So the fraction that's going into this particular problem is 1/3, okay? All right? You got to convert from that. That's the hardest part of the problem. It should be, okay? The hardest part of the problem is going to be converting from your ratio to your fraction. Okay? Everybody with me on that? But that's what I'm telling you. If you practice this 12 times today, you're going to get it. No problem. Okay? All right. After this, we're ready to plug and chug. Okay? Number 3. Let's find x coordinates. Find x coordinates of P. Okay? Remember, I'm using this formula. X1 plus A over A plus B, aka the fraction, x2 minus x1. No problem, Bob. X1 is the x coordinate of A, the x coordinate of the first point. That's 1. What was the fraction? 1/3. Okay. What is the x coordinate of B? 7. 7 minus 1. Scar. Put all that in the calculator. What do I get? 3. Okay. 1 plus 1/3 times 7 minus 1. Because that's not a, confusing thing to say. Then I get the last step, guys. Well, the last mathematical step. Find the y coordinates of P. Finding the y coordinates is the same thing as the x's, except you just choose the y values instead of the x values. Same formula, right? What is the y value of the A point? No. A is 1. 1 plus, my fraction was 1/3. Y2 is 4 minus 1. Tyler, what'd you get? 2? Okay, should be 2. Yep. All right. Finish this problem off, Mr. Muse. The point P is located at what coordinate points? What's the x coordinate? 3. What's the y coordinate? 2. 3, 2. Come up here to my graph. I'm able to graph the point 3, 2, and right there is point P. Approximately 1/3 the distance A to B. Not that bad, right? Okay. We'll do one more. You guys get started on number 3, okay? Y'all get started on it. I want you to try it on your own. Convert from the ratio to the fraction, then find the x and the y coordinates, all right? Do the whole problem. I'll run it up here in just a second. With this. All right. So, first thing I should do, remember, this is T, okay? First thing you should do is graph. Graph your points. -4, -1 is M. Should be right there. And 0, 3 is N. Okay? Create yourself your little graph. Number 2. That's it all in red. Number 2 is to convert ratio a fraction. So, guys, we just did this one. If the ratio is 1/2, let's make sure we got this down. Ratio is 1:2. Yeah, I take 1/1 + 2, which is 1/3, right? Stay with me on that. Any questions on finding the fraction anymore? Y'all think y'all good with it? I think you'll be fine. Okay. Number 3, let's do the x-coordinates. Okay, x-coordinates. Remember, that's going to be this. x1 plus 1/3 of x2 minus x1. There. Let's do that real quick. x1 is -4. -4 plus 1/3 of, here's where it gets weird, right? 0. Now think about this. 0 minus -4. 0 plus 4. Good. 0 minus -4 is 0 plus 4. When y'all did that, guys, what'd you get? -2.6, correct? Should be -2.6 repeating. Should be a weird fraction. I think it was -8/3, okay? All right? -2.6. Put it as a decimal, and I'll explain why in just a little bit, okay? Then we find the y coordinates. Okay? Y coordinates, same formula with the y's. Let's make sure we got it. y1 plus 1/3, y2 minus y1. So that's going to become, do what? -1 plus 1/3. What's over here?
3
Yeah, 3 plus 1. Okay, why is it plus? Minus -1. It's not math speak, right? Convert it from minus negative to plus. Okay, everybody with me? What you get? Yep, 0.3, aka 1/3. Last step involved, we graph. I had you convert it from fractions to decimals for this reason. If you're graphing -2.6, you go between -2 and -3, right? A little bit more than halfway between it, okay? So we'll go about right there. And then if I go up 0.3, I'm going up 1/3 of that first block, right? So I'll go -2.3, and then it should hit, obviously, right on that line. That is point P. Point P is 1/3 of the way from M to N. Okay? That's about as hard as they could get, right? Let's make sure we're clear on this. Guys, on the EOC, are you going to have to graph lines on the test? No. Are you going to have to put points right there on the test? No. Your EOC question would be, what is the coordinate of P, right? Correct? Well, they could do that to you, -2.6, comma, 0.3, okay? They could do that to you, but you don't have to worry about if you got a perfect graph. Everybody with me? Any good questions? Any bad questions? Okay.